Hello everyone, welcome back to Red Devils TV. We are here with the Manchester United opener up against Arsenal. All right, then let's do this. Apologies for not doing any videos for a while. There was, of course, the Benjamin Sesko deal, which I will talk about in this video as well later on after the covered the Arsenal game. And of course, there's the Carlos Baliba news and the midfielder news in general, which we have not been able to cover. Reasoning for that is because, well, I don't really like doing videos alone that much. And, well, Neil, unfortunately, has not been able to get back to me when I ask him about a video. He seems to be quite busy at the moment, so yeah, that's pretty much why. But I have to do videos at some point, so I might as well do it today alone here. So yeah, my channel was Arsenal preview, one of the great Premier League fixtures in general, and yeah, really interested to see how this one goes. To start the season as well, quite the game to start off the season for both clubs. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. I think on paper Arsenal would be the favourites, of course, but on the other hand, I feel like I don't know. United, of course, will have a lot to prove this season. We have a lot to prove, and we have had a pretty good summer window. Is it enough? I'll talk about it later, but yeah, I mean, Arsenal, of course, are probably one of the best teams in England, arguably one of the best teams in the world. I mean, they have best centre back in the world, in my opinion, Saliba and Gabriel. Midfield is looking very good with Rice and Zubomeldi. The pivot, Odegaard, some doubts on him, but he also has a lot to prove, so who knows. Saka is a magical player. Gyökeres is a player I would have loved at Manchester United. I will not deny that. Madueke is a bit of an one, but maybe it can surprise people. Martinelli has a lot to prove as well. Raya, one of the better keepers in the league. They have a very good team, so it's going to be quite a test for us. And yeah, on United, I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how this one goes because I think the lineups will be very interesting. Get on to that in a bit. But in preseason, Manchester United looked better. They definitely looked better. I feel like the main difference for Manchester United in preseason was that Amarim had the same set of instructions given out to his players, but simply because of additions like Cunha and Mbeumo, you could see the system flourishing a bit more because he actually has the personnel, he has the players who are able to carry out his instructions. Last season, that was an issue because either a lot of our players either just couldn't do it or they just didn't want to. So yeah, and yeah, a lot of question marks, of course, around outgoings. We'll get on to that in a bit, but yeah, overall, very excited for this one. Arsenal was Match United. Match United is one of the great Premier League fixtures, of course, in my opinion. In terms of if you're talking about purely the Premier League in the Premier League era, the greatest rivalry of all time in Premier League era. United Arsenal back in the day, when both teams would face each other, it would be pretty much whoever wins those games, Man United, Arsenal, those two games throughout the course of the whole season could go on to win the league. Like normally, United versus Arsenal would be a title decider back in the day, and yeah, we had some great rivalries back then, but against them. But yeah, of course, now it's very different. Of course, now we have fallen behind a lot, and we need to go back to the top. And we, of course, I believe we have a manager, Ruben Amorim, who has the capability to get us back to the top, and he's had a pretty good window as well. But yeah, I mean, tomorrow will be a huge test for Amorim. Of course, last season I think at the Emirates they beat us through a Gabriel goal. I believe it was 1-0. I'll double check on that real quick. 2-0. Gabriel scored. No, sorry. Timber and Saliba scored. Yeah, from two corners. Yeah. But we actually played pretty decently in that game. From what I remember, it was Amorim's only first few weeks in the job, and then of course we played him. We played pretty well, I'd say, at Old Trafford. We should have won that game. I think Raya was not of a match, if I recall. So Amorim has actually performed quite well against Arteta in the past. However, Arsenal have some considerable reinforcements and so do United, to be fair. But in time will tell how it will go. And yeah, I think with all that out of the way, can start to get to the lineups. Let's get a website up. But it's been long, man. It's been quite some time since we've had a long break from football. I think I fans especially needed that. But we're back now, and yeah, let's do this. All right then. Share screen. Yeah. So hold on. Starting account, whatever. Okay, in goal, I think it fortunately for us to a certain extent would be Andre Onana because I mentioned on him, but I just don't think. I mean, he needs to go, doesn't he? And I think that if we don't get a keeper in this one, I'll be quite disappointed, especially because it's a good option on the market. Sam Lamens from the Belgian league, one of the probably Belgium's best keeper at the moment. So would hope that we sign him towards the end of the window. But of course, we still have Lallana at the club, and I also really like to move on a player, um, move on a position before buying a position. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the goal situation develops. But yeah, I think Onana, it wasn't question marks of whether he'll be fit or not, but I think he will be fit enough to start the Arsenal game. Of course, it's very different for goalkeepers as well than outfield players. So I think he'll start. And well, yeah, I mean, this is a long time. I really hope he doesn't keep Manchester United, but we'll have to back him right now. And yeah, I think to be honest, I think he will cost us games this season if we do play him. But we'll just gotta hope he doesn't make any mistakes tomorrow for now. The three centre backs, very interesting actually to see how this one's gonna go. I would do Lenny Yoro down the middle. Not sure if I'm actually. I think it will be Matthias de Ligt down the middle. And then no, sorry, it's the left. I think the left centre back is gonna be Lenny Yoro. Fantastic defender for us, of course. Yoro, yeah. And right centre back, I think should be Nassir Mazraoui. I believe he is. He didn't really play much in preseason due to injury, but I believe he is back right now. Has been training around a week for around a week with the first team. So yeah, I think he should be fit enough to play, and I think he suits that right centre back position very well because of course he was a right back a lot for us last season. Could play right wing back sometimes. And yeah, I think him, shifting in and out from the middle towards the wide positions does suit him because he does have his defensive aspects of his game are quite fantastic, and also he was also right back, so he is used to playing out wide as well. He definitely has the capability to do that. On to wing backs, I think this is a easy decision which we locked on. Patrick Dogu, probably our best player during preseason. He looks like he's getting better and better. And yeah, hopefully he can. I predict him to be our most improved player from the season because I think I have a good season. Patrick Dogu this season, and yeah, of course he's probably going to be a left wing back for the rest of the season. So we need to obviously hope that is the case. Right wing back, I think it will be Amad Diallo. One of the best players, of course, and he did play there quite a lot last season. There's of course a bit of a debate about is this the best position of at right wing back, or is it as it depends, but I think the right wing back position can suit him well because if he has the energy to move up and down really quick, and the low could provide defensive stability. However, I think the Lowe's defensive stability is a bit overstated. I don't think there's a huge difference in defensive ability between him and Ahmad. And yeah, of course, I think he can link up really well with the two tens as well from that right wing position. I think he does have the energy and pace to get back and help out in the defense when it's required. So yeah, I think he'll do very well then. In the midfield pivot, this is probably the area where we're weakest in the team right now, and it's the main glaring weakness. I do think it will be Bruno Fernandes. I think he will start, of course, here because he did obviously play a lot as under 10s last season. However, you can't really do that right now because you can't put Mbeumo or Kone on the bench. So I think Hamilton will sort of shoehorn him into the midfield. And in preseason, we've seen that he seems to like Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro as a pivot, and Ugarte Mino as another pivot. Like those are his two pivots. He doesn't like to mix them in. Like for example, Ugarte and Bruno or Casemiro and Mine doesn't really like that for some reason. But it's not a good reason. But yeah, Casemiro and Fernandes would be the midfield pivot. And Casemiro, of course, I don't really like the fact he's playing, to be honest, because listen, last season he was definitely an improvement on the second season. We saw his passing range more, got better. However, I think even in preseason he just doesn't look that sharp. I just think he's just not. He can't just. He's not up to par at this level anymore, I think, and it's best if we move on from him. I wouldn't mind him that much as a backup midfielder, but yeah, as a starter, I'm not comfortable with him that much at all. However, he is under the lead. Of course, Amorim has also established a set of leadership groups. Sort of like you see at clubs like Barcelona, there's not one captain, it's like a rotation of captains, first choice captain, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, like that. Of course, for us it's Bruno, but we have players like Casemiro, Maguire, Dalot, in and around there as well. So yeah, I think those players will stay, and Casemiro is no exception to that. The two tens will be Mbeumo and Cunha. I think Cunha will play over here because he's right-footed. And then Mbeumo will play here because he's left-footed. Amorim likes his number tends to come inside. We've heard about us at Sporting. He likes on the left side he likes right-footed players, and on the right side he likes left-footed players. And then up top, a bit of a debate, but I would go for Benjamin Sesko simply because I think that Rasmus Højlund hasn't really played for the last two preseason games, and it looks like he's on his way out. And Zirkzee missed the whole of preseason, and I don't really think he's a great striker anyway. I think he's more number 10. And yeah, then you've got no one else really. You can't play cheater on this game, of course. So I think it would be Sesko. I don't think he's completely fit or much ready yet, but I think Amorim will take a bit of a gamble on him and play him. And if he does play him, then I am quite excited to see what Sesko can do. I think that's a lineup. We're going to play against Arsenal. I'm not going to do a combined 11 simply because, I don't know, I'll be honest, it'll probably be most of Arsenal's players anyways. And yeah, I'll wait for the window hasn't ended either as well for either teams. So yeah, I think overall this is going to be quite an interesting game. Very interested to see how this goes. And yeah, now I suppose we can talk about the transfer news a little bit. So yeah, of course, what do I think about Sesko? I think it's about a sign of Manchester United. We've needed a striker, and I like Rasmus Højlund, but we still need a striker to challenge him, and we still needed a striker to just come in. First choice was Liam Delap, who I am in some ways glad we didn't get because now he's just starting on Chelsea's bench. I think that players like Gyökeres and Osman are just, either the wage demands were too high or they just didn't want Manchester United. And it was between Watkins and Sesko. And listen, I think if you fix the midfield issue, and suddenly that attack becomes much more potent because the midfield is able to properly distribute the ball towards players like Mbeumo and Cunha in the final third, and overall that will improve our attack significantly. And so I think in that way, if we sign a midfield, then Sesko's game he'll have a much easier time adjusting to the Premier League from the Bundesliga. And if he does manage to adjust well, then long term will be a significantly better signing than Ollie Watkins would have been. So yeah, that part of signing as well. And on Sesko, I think there's apart from sometimes its decision making can be a bit and sometimes his conversion in the box can be a bit suspect. However, for a striker at his age, he's still 21. I think that's to be expected, and I think he can improve upon that. And the rest of his game is pretty good. I think he does. He has a good shot on him. He's good at link-up play. Such a big threat in the air, and with Mbeumo as well, one of the best crosses in the Premier League. Be quite a deadly combination. That we need more physicality in this team, and Sesko certainly provides that. And yeah, I don't think he'll be bullied like Rasmus Højlund was a lot. So yeah, I think Ben Sesko ended up being a fantastic signing for Manchester United. However, there was of course Rasmus Højlund who will leave. I do like Rasmus Højlund, and I don't like how it's ended. I would have liked him to stay as a backup striker, honestly. But I'm talking about it like the deal's done, but the deal's not done yet. There are several clubs interested in him, like AC Milan, Dortmund, Newcastle United. However, Erasmus will. Don't think he. I think I'm going. End up going to Milan because he has now sort of opened the doors to him a bit. He was a bit reluctant at first because he wanted to stay in 5 place. But Amorim, I think we saw that Sporting as well. He doesn't really like to rotate his strikers that much. That's why Gyökeres played so much under him and was a star player. So yeah, I think it's unfortunate how it ended. I would have liked to see him. I think it's so unfair that he's at the club. He's been at the club for 2 years, been hung out to dry, and then finally we bring in players like Mbeumo and Cunha who will feed him, and we let him go in that same summer. I think it's a shame. I think it's really unfortunate, but well, I have been ruthless here, and it's something which I don't really like, particularly with Rasmus Højlund. But in general, it is something that we do need to be a bit more ruthless in general. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah, I think Højlund will ball out in Serie A, in the Serie A if he goes there to Milan. And yeah, who knows? He can come back in first place too potentially because it is will most likely be a known deal. So yeah, and yeah, I think on the midfield situation, of course, I was very excited about Carlos Baleba. It's my first heard story, but yeah, it's unfortunate that we won't be able to go in for him. And I have mentally given up on Carlos Baleba because I don't believe we'll be able to get him next summer. I think there's going to be so much competition. We don't even know if we're going to have a good season. And well, yeah, who's to say Baleba would even want to join us next summer with all other clubs interested? So yeah, I think that it's unfortunate. I don't think we'll ever have a good run at him ever again. But NAOs are not playing around. I don't want to overpay for a player again, which is fair, I suppose. But in the midfielder we do bring in better be proper good. And yeah, some names are Morten Hilden of Sporting Lisbon, former player of Ruben Amorim, of course. Wouldn't mind him that much. I think he's a pretty. There's Edison, good player as well, but 70 million I think Atlanta would want. Bit of a price. Adam Bolton I think would be my next preferred option. However, I think it'll be even more difficult to do that deal at Palace because they actually need the squad depth because they're in the Europa Conference League. And not only that, but they also there's also of course English tax, and yeah, it's just massively overpriced. It's just like Carlos Baleba. And yeah, I think that so with one thing which is worth noting is that it has been stated that Manchester United did not walk away because Baleba was too expensive. They walked away because Brighton simply are just not going to sell him this window, which is interesting. So that means we do have still quite a bit of money left in reserves for this summer. I would probably do something like this. I would go for a player like Aguma from Sevilla. There are a bit some question marks that they can adjust to the Premier League, but I think those the question marks are there with every player who's been linked to in the midfield apart from Baleba and Bolton, both of which who will unlikely to get. So yeah, I think overall I'll go for Aguma. And then I'll keep the money left over and try to go for midfielder next summer because I think, but I'm still not sure if I should do that. A part of me wants to sign a good player who can be a backup next summer when we go for a big midfielder and we save that money. So this summer, go for a big midfielder next summer. But another part of me wants to just go all out right now, live in the now, because I'll be honest, I think Baleba and both of those deals are incredibly unlikely next summer because of the sheer amount of competition which will be there for both players outside the Premier League as well, most likely, as they're both fantastic players. So it's going to be very difficult to see to do both of those deals. So yeah, I just think that perhaps we should also go. We should just go out. We should just whatever cash we have, just try to spend as much of it on the best midfielder we can get on the market right now, which some sources have said could be Højlund, but even we have competition with Spurs. Right deal, and apparently he's a very big Arsenal fan. He even has a fucking Arsenal tattoo on his shoulder, which is a bit weird. But I mean, as long as he plays by United, I don't care that much. But it's there. So it's gonna be very interesting to see which midfielder Manchester United have to. Højlund is the one rumored right now, but no tier one sources have really talked about next midfielder we've been linked to as of right now. So let's see. Maybe that can change very quickly. Of course, we still have around 13, 14 days left in transfer window. So in that time, I hope we manage to by a midfielder like Humund, by a good midfielder, and by goalkeeper like Lamens, who will challenge and potentially displace Anana from that goalkeeping position. And then Sales. On Sales, of course, Jadon Sancho to Roma. I think it should happen because 20 million fucking. Thank you so much, Roma. I think if he does actually focus on his football, I think he can do well in Serie A, especially on the manager like Gasperini, who could sort of keep him in line. And yeah, I think that could be a great deal for United, but time will tell if we don't know. But I think if we manage to offload Chance out, then that'd be absolutely fantastic by Ineos. Garnacho to Chelsea looks likely, but it's just about a fee. Oh yeah, Garnacho, fucking hell, man. So apparently Garnacho is saying that if United, it's either Chelsea or he doesn't play for 6 or 12 months. I'd like, wow, what a fucking man child, dude. Like bloody hell. I just sell him for. I think if Chelsea come in, the deal I would do is 40 million plus 10 million in add-ons with the sell-on clause. I think it's a good deal for all parties. Let's see if Chelsea do that. I think it should happen, but let's see. It's on Chelsea if they want to pay the price or not. And yeah, I think the only other player we would have left to sell is of course Malacia. I think it'll be very difficult to offload. And then there's Anthony, who I think his dream club is still Betis, but Betis simply don't have the money to buy him. And I won't take it on a loan deal. Like you have to play football. Like you have to get money for this summer, man. Like come on, you had a good 6 months. You are worth 30 million right now because you've proven that outside the Premier League you can actually be quite a good player. So you have a market value right now. We're not going to loan you again. So yeah, hopefully Manting and Lewis could move as well. So as of right now, Hoyland, I'm not really happy about that, but I know it is what it is. Sancho, Canacho, anyone else? Sancho, Canacho. Yeah, those 3 players are looking like they're on their way out of the door right now. From the bomb squad, there would only be Anthony and potentially Malacia left. If you can offload even Anthony, if anyone else managed to offload Rashford, Sancho, Garnacho, and Anthony in the same summer, sensational. For Barcelona, with Rashford, 17 million a year saved in wages. Good business. We weren't going to get a good fee for him this summer. I think it was unrealistic because he always wanted Barcelona. So in the end, got a decent deal. Sancho, 20 million plus wages off the books. Incredible. Garnacho, 40 million plus 10 million around sell-on clause. I think it's a great deal if it does happen. Fantastic. Anthony, still not sure what we can do, but if you can get any fee for them, even 20 to 25 million, good, it's okay business. We'll take the money and run. If anyone else managed to do this, to pull off all these sales, add a midfielder like Hillman, or just a good midfielder, and Lamens, in addition to the 3 signings we already have, which are all fantastic signings in my opinion, this is a perfect window. But we will talk about it more likely when we see progression on the other deals. And on after that line day, after we can talk about NAS as a whole, how they done this window, and just judging the window as a whole. And yeah, I think I deviated a bit too far from the actual preview. So yeah, United Arsenal, really excited to see it. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Back, Manchester United back, and yeah, I think a lot of people actually have us finishing in Europe this season. I can see why, because I feel like a lot of people acknowledge that last season was an anomaly, and people who actually watch Manchester United would know that a lot of the main reason we were 15th is because we created a lot of chances, but just couldn't score goals. We had like the most missed chances in the Premier League. We just could not score goals for that, to save our lives, and Onana cost us as well a lot. Onana still in goal, but if we can solve we already solved goals issue to a certain extent, but if we can get a midfielder in who would be able to help properly progress the ball from the midfield to the final third, then that will only make the attack better. And I think we would have not solved, but the issue with I think United actually would see a lot of actually to a certain extent we would have solved. It's not like we have no issues at all because the midfield would still be a bit unbalanced, but you would have majorly improved Manchester United's attack, and therefore, along with because like a midfielder indirectly also improves the attack. So if you do that, if you do a midfielder, if you get a good midfielder, then along with the 3 players you've already brought in, who are all great players for scoring goals and creating chances, then yeah, I think the goal issue can definitely be solved this season. I think it'll be a complete 180 from last season, and that we will be updating goals. And last season, if we just could just finish our chances more, and if Fernando was in there, I think we would have finished comfortably in the top 10, possibly even 8th or 7th. So this season, that has to be the aim. Score goals, and yeah, just I think defensively we weren't too bad last season. It was just Onana cost us, and Onana can cost us again. I mean, we could get Lamens in, Onana could cost us again, but I mean, we have to see how bad it gets. But hopefully we can, still have a good defense to a certain extent, but even with Onana in goal. And I think in terms of goals, I think we should see a lot of goals. I mean, Sesko, Cunha, and Mbeumo on paper, that's a Champions League front three, but of course football isn't always played on paper. How it looks on paper doesn't always turn out like that on a pitch. But I'm sure Ruben Amorim will be working with his team and working with the players to get them in sync and just overall play a lot of great football, score some great goals. And yeah, I think we've not completely, but to a certain extent, we have solved the goal issue. I think that will majorly help with how many points we'll get this season. And yeah, I think I'm really pumped up for this. Yeah, can't wait to play Arsenal. Can't wait. I think that covers about everything. Score predictions. I'll go 3-2 Man United, because I feel like it could be a high scoring game. But Arsenal have a very good defense actually. I'll go 2-1 Man United. 2-1. 2-1 Man United. Yeah, but a bit optimistic probably. I think a draw could be a bit more realistic, but hey, I like to be optimistic. That cost me a lot last season. Hopefully it won't this season. And to be fair, I think we have more reason to be optimistic this season. So yeah. So yeah, Ruben Amorim's first big test of the season will be here, of course, against Arsenal, and yeah, can't wait. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, make sure to smash like button and subscribe if you're new. Turn on post notifications to be notified when we upload the next video. Watch along, will be there as always today. Can't wait for it, man. I'll see you guys in the next one.